now. Image, we back again. We got another little quaver for you. Aye. You thought it was good the first time? Man, we had so much fun, we could do it again. Watch now. Image, we back again. We got another little quaver for you. Aye. You thought it was good the first time? Man, we had so much fun, we could do it again. Hello my people, how you doing today? It's been a long time coming, what I have to say. Look at our culture, things are not the same. Let's not sit down and do nothing while it go down the drain. Please help me. Let's jump on the masqueraders, the musician and mass makers, all the way. Hey. Look around, the hearts are dying. We must prevent this from happening. Start today. Fight for your culture, work for your culture, enjoy your culture. Together, worship your culture, learn from your culture, stay with your culture forever. All these European dishes I just can't explain. What happened to fungi, dumpling and Johnny cake, yam dashing and sweet potato, cassava and plantain? Help me. Callaloo fried fish to kuna. Wash it down with some brown soda or some lemonade. Sorrel, sour, sap, passion fruit, salted whitefish and red bean soup, Crucian guava berry. Fight for your culture, work for your culture, enjoy your culture. Together, worship your culture, learn from your culture, stay with your culture forever. Local heroes recognize their contributions to their heritage. The Hamilton Jackson, Elmo Plaskett, James, Ralph Bishop, Henry Rosen, Alexander Moorhead. Continue. David Canigata Sr., Harris Clark and Joe Christopher, Al McBain. Valmy Thomas, Emil Griffith, B.G. Gerard, Edward Hendricks, Tracy Julian Jackson. Fight for your culture, work for your culture, enjoy your culture. Together, worship your culture, learn from your culture, stay with your culture forever and ever. Don't forget our great mass makers, Psycho and Anita Christian, Magnus Holiday, Helen Joseph Floyd Anderson, Susie Ibadi Peterson, Sylvia Florence Bailey, Mr. Thomas One Man Man, Ziggy Top, Rudy Salterbrand, Ohalo Williams, Blinky, James D, Joe Paris, Edward Simmons, Lloyd Rapid, Archie Thomas, King Derby, Wesley Thomas, Hilo, Stanley, Great Chanel, Leona Watson, Miss Harris, Willie White, Beryl Francis, Ethel McIntosh, and many more. Too numerous
Yes, folks. Preserve our culture by teaching it, sharing it. It's one of the greater things that we have that gives longevity to creating a legacy we want to share with the world. All right. And I'm getting ready to bring my guest here in a second. Uh, Folks, you know, I do my community calendar in here and I talk about what's going on in the community. You know, the family friendly stuff, the children involvement, stuff that the community needs to know about and get involved in. So don't be there saying, well, okay, I didn't hear about it. I would have want to go. No, 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 no. You know, it's so funny because there was this play. There was this play that I'm going to be recognized in a newspaper. They're going to show my face and they're going to put one of them big badges on me. They're saying, yes, best announcer and best community show and all this other stuff. Yes, they're going to do it. You know why? Because Caribbean Community Theater gave this play and it was sold out. It had lines out there. You would think they were giving away free iPhones or something or whatever, whatever. And it made such a big traffic jam and everything else that, hey, they said his dog fault because he put it on the community calendar. Anyhow, so much for New Wives' Tales and short ones and everything else, right? Anyhow, so in the studio this morning, I've got some folks here from the Caribbean Community Theater, and it's really great to have them in here. Usually Doug is just here by himself running his mouth, but now I got some folks that I can tag team with here. All right, great. And yes, we got a play coming up starting on the 5th. You know how they do it? They have it Friday night, Saturday night, and usually I have a Sunday matinee at 4 for those people who don't want to drive too late. All right, but hey, and we having it for 2 weeks this time?
Yes.
Yeah, two weekends. So we're gonna have it 2 weekends, all right?
And
But
usually we will have one matinee. This time two matinees.
two matinees. All right. Well, with no further ado, you're hearing that voice in here, so I want my guests to go ahead and introduce themselves.
All right. My name is Christina Gasperi, and I am an actor in the upcoming show, The Sweetest Swing in Baseball, and I also was in Sister Act. So I'm hooked on Caribbean Community Theater, and really happy to be here this morning and talk about the show.
All right, fantastic. And we got someone on the line. It's okay, it'll be so touching. All right, so the sweetest swing in baseball. Tell us what to look forward to. All right. know, you treat yourself every now and then. If you're not a regular, treat yourself every now and then. Caribbean Community Theater. Hey, they won't charge you for the laughs. You get plenty of them.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
All right. You can imagine how much money they'd be making if they could just somehow figure out a way to turn laughs into
I know. I know. That would be a good thing. Our actors would work even harder.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. First, I'll ask you both this. How did you get involved in acting?
Sure. Megan, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I've just sort of been a performer my whole life. I think I was asked to be the one of the children of the Von Trapps in The Sound of Music for a high school musical they were doing that year, and I was in 6th grade, and I had one line. I'll get him. And I was so proud of that one line. And so I've just been, I've been doing plays, musicals, I've been dancing, and doing sort of that sort of thing for forever. So I went to college in the States, worked for a bit, and then I came home, and the first thing I did was go to CCT, and it was like, are there any shows coming up? Can I try out for anything? Can I do anything? Because I just love it so much.
All right.
Yeah, I will say for me that probably the number one reason I got into theater was because I was lousy at sports. I could not coordinate to kick a ball in a world of soccer players. So this was something that I could do in a team environment with other people. In a sense, I think there's some similarities there to team sports. You know that you have your individual performance, but it's nothing without the rest of your group. And that's one thing that's kind of fun about this show is that even though we are only 5 actors, we are playing 9 characters. So almost everyone in the show, with the exception of Megan playing Dana, who is the lead, the kind of core character that the story follows, the rest of us are alternating between costumes, accents, body language, and wigs, whatever else we need to create 2 separate characters that come on and off throughout the show, which is really a pretty great challenge. And it's confusing sometimes. You're trying to read your lines and you're like, wait, which room am I in? Which scene am I in? Which act are we in? And which character am I supposed to be playing right now? So it's a really great mental workout.
But they're all doing such a great job. You know, that it's amazing. You know, when I'm in the scene with them, I'm never confused who I'm talking to. You know, I'm never like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking to Dr. Gilbert right now, but I feel like I'm talking to Rhonda, who are Christina's 2 characters. That never happens because she and all the other actors are so good at making sure at distinguishing both of those characters while at the same time finding the commonality between the 2.
Well,
it's something to see, definitely.
Okay, well, you mentioned something there, Megan, that about middle school, and I just want to throw in, I want to get up on my soapbox, and I'm saying that, look, folks, we need to support as much as possible the arts in our schools, especially where they could do plays, acting, and whatever. How else we gonna one of these days see somebody who went to school here going up there to get their Oscar? You know,
yes.
It starts somewhere.
You gotta get that.
So in that sense, from the folks in education all the way up to the top of the administration, hey folks, whatever you can do to support the arts, we really appreciate it in that context, especially getting it into the schools, because folks, everything has been cutting back this to cutting back that, and soon they're going to be cutting back on how much air you can breathe. Please, folks, let's make our schools that place where the arts are that qualitative seasoning that impacts our children in so many ways. They may not choose the arts as their vocation, but in terms of building character, self-esteem, and all, it's a fantastic vehicle.
It
right?
does. It creates so many skill sets. I mean, there's, just even schedule management. Knowing when you need to be at rehearsals. At what point do you have to have certain amounts of the material prepared for rehearsals for your team? And the public speaking aspect, the experimentation with different characters, trying things on. I'm getting to try on two vocations that I've always been curious about. Why I play a psychotherapist in the show, and I also play a gallery owner, kind of a high-powered woman. So these are really fun things to play with in terms of identity. And so in theater, you can kind of try on anything. But I did start at, I believe I was in 4th grade when I was in my first show. By 6th grade, I think I played Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The schools that I attended were in a suburb of New York City, and they had very strong arts programs. Now, my parents lived in fear that I would grow up to be an artist and starve to death. And I think that is a common fear for parents. They want their kids to do something more reasonable. But Megan and I both have day jobs, and most of the cast, we're all employed for the most part and successful as adults. But the arts really, how else do we connect to the spirit and the soul, and how do we tell these really beautiful layered stories, amongst ourselves, yes, but like to be able to communicate these beautiful ideas to the audiences that we are hoping will come next weekend and the following weekend. This is just an avenue for us to all communicate a commonality to each other. The arts are really important in the community.
Well, there are two things. There are two things that can make life so wonderful. One is a job that you love, and two is something that you love when you're not on the job. Okay, those two things. When you get those two things in sync, I mean, yeah, there are times when you're in transition. You might have that one, you don't like that job, you don't like till you get to the one you want, or whatever the case may be. But those two things should always be our aspirations, and something we need to push our children toward in the process, because yeah, they have to find their way as to what their job is going to be in life, or what their work is going to be in life, and they also need to have that other side after the job. What do I do with myself that I have fun and enjoy life? Yeah, yes. Now I'm on tell you now, confession time. One of the challenges that is to get people to understand and realize what they're missing, because I talk about the Caribbean Community Theater. The reality is there are thousands of people here in St. Croix that have never been to the theater. And folks, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, doing a random act of kindness type of treat, however you gift a ticket to Caribbean Community Theaters to a friend. Someone who you just notice don't go nowhere, or whatever the case, and you're always doing the same. Do something different, Tell them they don't have to sit on the couch all day and watch CNN, Once you experience it, it's just like the other day. I can't call names so that they will forever remain innocent, and of course not in my life. But I dragged a friend of mine out to an arts event the other day, and afterwards it was like, oh man, this was great. I've seen so many people I haven't seen in a while, and this and that and that. But if you had seen the pulling teeth process to get them to come out. All right, but
well, and let me just say, I know that a lot of people do. There's many people on the island who choose not to drive after dark. We all have the issue with the oncoming headlights, and just our eyes get worse as we're older. So don't forget, we have 2 matinees. The matinees are on Sundays, the 7th of May and on the 14th of May, and those start at 4 o'clock. And if you do come to an evening show, those start at 8. There is an intermission, a nice long leisurely time. We have a bar. So you can have alcoholic or non-alcoholic drink, and also there's a pretty extensive snack bar. There's a caterer who comes and sets up. You can get like a little light dinner. So it is possible to kind of make an evening of a CCT show and not feel that you have to rush to dinner or rush in and out. You can come and enjoy the whole evening, have a little bite to eat, some healthy food, and a little imbibement if you like, and enjoy a show with us. So come on out.
This show in particular, we're actually going to have a little art show.
Oh, that's right.
At the end as well. You know, at the end of the show, we're going to be having some of the art that was featured in the show on display in the back, and we're going to be doing a little bit of an auction as well. So definitely come by and make sure you stay after to see that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna brag because I know Megan won't, but Megan is playing a painter, a successful painter in the show, who is having kind of a mental health crisis. And so she kind of changes her style of painting, and the audience may not really see the paintings during the show. We talk about them a lot and leave it to the imagination of the audience to imagine her work. But there will be paintings on display, and Megan got into character and just started enjoying something that she maybe hadn't done for a while, but is extremely skilled at. She is an oil painter, and she has been painting. If you see the poster for the show, was an earlier one of the works that she's been developing of chickens.
I'm looking at it right now.
Who are playing baseball. So anyone in your life who is a baseball fan or who loves chickens, which is most of us in the Caribbean because they're everywhere. And they are beautiful. They are a native bird in a sense. So she has been painting these incredible oil paintings, layered, beautiful work. She's like every feather is painted. These are really incredible paintings to see, and it's just an outcropping of the creativity she's bringing to the show as this character. So I was blown away. She keeps bringing the new ones to rehearsal, and we are just laughing, crying, and loving all these works of art. So please come see them.
All these chickens are giving me a mental health crisis.
She's driving herself a little mad.
Well, let me tell you, right? you know, I
God, I, because at the end of the day, or going there to be have personality, I will always see the issue.
amen. Regarding telecommunications, of course, WAPA came up, and I know that that's part of the issue in that legislation that you were discussing. WAPA came up, and one of the things that came out in the process is that
I will say I've been in talk radio for headed into 20 years. So I came from a perspective of always speaking to the community, corroborating, having conversations, listening to their voices, and all of that transitioned to me going into the legislature. But one of the things that I can honestly say since I got here, it's one thing when you're on the outside looking in, and you have all of this to say, like this, that. But until you get in there
and see what's going on,
and you are scratching your head like, holy cow, like, how is half of this even possible? By God, how did some of us even get here?
I understand. When I would tell you, I was a naive guy. I was really going in there to do something to help my people.
I know.
And then I realized that, well, you're the only one thinking like that. That ain't the behavior you see.
It's hard because when you have somebody just fighting to follow the rules, like, listen, and I tell them this, and I had a conversation one time, and I said, I have a question for you. Have you, since I have been elected, seen me gotten involved in any craziness in here with y'all? And my colleague said, no, we've never seen you just is the instigator of anything. But I will guarantee you, if you see Alma in a corner doing the people's work and you choose to stop your day, I'm not coming out nice because I didn't send for you. and that is what I simply tell them. Allow me to do the people's work they elected me to do in a proper manner, the rules that you guys have prescribed for us. But when you decide these rules don't apply to me, and when they don't apply to you and they affect me, you are now affecting me helping the people. You are now affecting me protecting the people. You are now affecting me fixing the prosperity that I want to see for our people. So now I have to stop my day and now deal with you. And now you've become a distraction from me getting the people's work done.
All right.
And now you're going to be a problem for me because until I get you out of my way, I will forever see you as a hindrance to the people.
All right.
And that's just how I function.
Good thing. Well, slash that we advocated about regarding telecommunication.
Yes.
First of all, there's some places on St. Croix that we have dead spots like for 40 years. 40 years. Now you think about 40 years. Why do we still have these dead spots? And we don't see, haven't been informed or otherwise told that, okay, since then we've cut this one down by this percentage because you've gotten polls here or whatever the case may be. Whatever, to increase coverage in the area. So one of the things that I asked one of the senators to do was to request a copy of their coverage maps because they have they have these
able to see
if there's any change, and then we could in that. But there's an area on St. Croix. If you haven't been to La Valley, you've been to La Valley?
Not
okay. Yes, I would like to at some point in time, if you want, I can escort you through the La Valley Drive. You over in that area, if you're not connected by a landline, and so many people, renters, Airbnbers, they're coming with their cell phone. That's their mode of communication. You go out to Carambola, which is government owned,
and you're shut off from the world.
Exactly. You had people come down here from Ohio, and they have to wait until they reach a certain place, whatever, to contact us.
And that's a scary situation.
Right. But I take it scary in the sense that what good are first responders if you can't reach them?
Exactly.
And that is where we are. Because these quote-unquote dead spots over 40 years have become populated with people who build houses, live in those areas, and everything else.
Yes.
So, in that context, I know that you would be sensitive and pay attention to those things. So, sometimes you have the opportunity, I'll take you right and show you some of these places.
What I will do is when I'm back, I'll take your information and you could give me a tour.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Okay.
That'd be fine. Because as you said, when it comes time to vote, 8 votes pass something, and we in St. Croix don't care whether the 8 come from all from St. Croix or some from St. Thomas, or it go past 8 to include St. Thomas. We just want our quality of life affected in a positive way.
And I agree with you. And just even to add to that, I was in St. John one of the days, and when I was driving around, and I went to the far end down by Coral Bay, and there's a housing community to the back where there's apartments and stuff. And when you go there, your phone will stop. And I'm scratching my head like, what? Like, this actually still exists. And I remember we made phone calls to the telephone company to find out what is the issue. And all they were saying to us is they're trying to get more towers and stuff down in that area. And I'm thinking, well, you're describing the same identical thing that's happening here in St. Croix. And at some point, when do you invest the monies into making sure that a place this small, this tiny, will get the type of coverage that it needs?
Okay, now.
And I stress the word, it always boils down to dollars and cents, and I have learned that.
Yes, well, there are 115,000 subscribers, and if you break that down between districts, 50-50. Okay, that means you got at least 55,000 folks here on St. Croix that are paying at least an average $50 a month. And when you extrapolate that into over a year, how much money, it's a whole bunch of dollars.
I alone got 4 phones, so.
Okay, and you know, the children when they're born today, they come like
It's
this,
attached
ready
to
for,
their
ready
ear.
for,
They
ready
came
for
out the
phone.
womb with a
ready,
phone at their ear.
ready to put the phone in their hand. That's right. So the challenge that we're looking at here is reinvestment, and
Yes.
we have to have a strategy for reinvestment. Now, sometimes you run into a real true problem. And then sometimes you have to improvise, looking to the future, how you're going to do something in the meantime. And I'll give you an example. This
Yes.
place called La Valley, one of the carriers actually laid fiber going over the hill that separates one half of the island, other half of the island. Now, and on that ridge, there's a possibility of locations to put a tower.
Okay.
So if that carrier isn't in a position to put up a tower, or some other carriers are in a position, why can't we come up with some type of public-private partnership to say, well, if
To
you
try to
let
get
them
one
hook
out.
up to this, we'll subsidize you doing this, and landowner who might decide, well, I will lease you my property, let's say for 10 years or 15 years, to put it there, we'll give you a tax break or some whatever, so forth, because you had no inclination to do it
To do it that way.
to do it, period. Right? You come up with a way to all of a sudden, you've got this partnership, you got a tower, and all of a sudden these people are connected in a way. And over in the La Valley area, they have Mardi Gras parade, they have music festivals, and it's thousands of people show up in this area. No place to fit the cars now, but thousands of people show up to party. And all you need is for one thing to go wrong
Yes.
in that context,
I
and
can
you can't reach the first responder. Explaining, because one person in the retirees group was saying, you know, this particular center, I ain't gonna call it, said, can't do it because it costs too much money. And
What do
I'm
you
saying,
mean it
like,
costs too much money? People's lives.
amen.
I don't know what to tell you. Federal government. Some have been. They're now a part of the community. I listen to all the spiel.
Let me share something.
Human life is more than enough.
Right.
To be a reason.
Someone who was involved with the first responders shared something with me. Our first governor passed away because of a heart attack,
Okay.
and they were responding. Okay, and there were doctors on site trying to help. And when they reached, they said, "Bring out the medicine box." And I said, "Fine that they didn't put it in the ambulance, but that's dealt with in the hospital." No, it's dealt. The ambulance from,
Yes.
from that point forward. What I'm saying, if you need towers and places, you could sunset them. If you don't want towers there, you could do a sunset situation and say, well, over that time, it's a time that we're going. Remove the tower.
Exactly.
Yes, we have to be creative about how
I agree.
we go about these things. And that's why I'm expressing these things to you. I know that
Oh,
your
I'm
energies
taking notes.
are part of the mix that's needed to come up with solutions. Why they can't do this and they can't do that. They don't realize folks getting tired and fed up.
Exactly.
Okay, so anyhow, I got
Oh, it's a. We all do it sometimes.
yeah.
the one semester of VI history. And you graduate up until you're about 17, 18. I graduated at 17. And in all of this time, they're using integration where they're teaching you little things. And I gave an example yesterday. Integration is like trying to integrate information about the Caribbean or the Virgin Islands into teaching. Are indigenous to the island of St. Thomas. Bananas do you get? 7 purple bananas. So the teacher is able to teach you that purple bananas come from the island of St. Thomas, and then also taught you math at the same time. That's what integration is. The problem is, how does that work when it comes to children understanding about Wilmot Blythe and all the factions of General Budho and all these things that they're not really taught about to know about their history? And I was telling the host yesterday that one of the things that broke my heart is at my radio station, we had a contest for Dr. Lesmore Emanuel, and one of the students, actually the student that won the contest, he won, I think, $600 or something. I want to thank again the community. People were calling in and making the pot bigger, because we started off at 200 and they just kept adding to it. But what I want to say is that young man said something in his essay that kind of like broke my heart, because he said that he is born in St. Thomas and raised, but his parents are from the Dominican Republic. And they are proud of their culture, and that is what they have taught him. And in his essay, he said, but what about mine? What are you going to teach me, my history as a Virgin Islander? And I didn't want to cry, because I don't think we realize how this is affecting. And that young man is about 15 years old. You understand what I'm telling you?
Very much.
And this is how he was feeling, that he wrote it in an essay. He's knowing everything about his parents' culture, because that's instilled in them. And they're passing it on to their child, which they rightfully have the right to. But he's saying, but I'm part of them, and I like that.
And I'm part of here.
But I'm here. I'm a Virgin Islander. What about me? Tell me about my people. Tell me about my history. And I said, that was one of the reasons why I knew we had to make adjustments to guarantee that this is a part of our children's lives. Because when you instill in children who they are, what they are going to be proud. Can you imagine, why would you fight your brother right next to you if you knew where you came from? And you wonder why these children are always clashing in school, why they always fighting and beating on each other, because they don't know who they are. And we as adults are coming up with every excuse to justify why they should not be taught. I'm not override for this, because I can't sit back and see our children. I want to pull up the transmittal letter so I could read, but we can go ahead while I look for it.
Okay.
But I want to pull it up so I could read exactly what he said as his reason why.
While you're doing that, you
Go ahead.
concentrate on doing that, and let me just say this. Born here, grew up here, went to school here, graduated from Central High, and I went off to college in Ohio. And even though I can't speak Spanish fluently, I understood it enough that I did college, made some good money to be able to help my parents not have to pay.
Oh, wow.
And so I did that into ROTC and into the military, came back, went to law school, all this stuff.
As an
because I'm telling you, in as great as the education opportunity I had was, if I had to look at it in that scope of my history, a disservice was done.
Very
And,
much so.
and I see it still going on. But you know, part of the challenge that they're facing is that there's only so many hours in a day,
Yes.
and you've got to move from this class to that class, or stay in this classroom and switch subjects. But there, if we could make the investment in taking our historical stories and turning them into cartoons, you see a little dab of it here, a dab of it. If we could do that, okay, and we talk about Head Start, kindergarten, or whatever, and they would have their hour or whatever of watching cartoons or their whole life during that period, whatever, they would know more about Virgin Islands history in that kind of. Right? And
Yes.
something that happened to me when I went to Denmark with Stanley. No, we jumped on a plane and we went. I'm passing a book in this the national years from now. Okay?
existing policy set by the Board of Education. It is within